So, welcome to Two Dads, Six Daughters, our weekly show with two fathers with three daughters each, talking about our daughters, talking about pop culture, talking about how they relate to each other. And, of course, the guest is always, not even a guest, co-host, I should say. It's Marc Clarke. Marc, what's going on, man?
Tony, Scott, how are you? I was talking to my neighbor who has three daughters. He wants to get on board. 3 dads and 9 daughters. No. I'm like, damn, it's growing. It's the hit of the fall season.
It's getting crowded up in here. Does he watch it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm turning him out. I'm introducing him to it.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, not yet. But
so your neighbor has 3 daughters?
Yeah, they just moved in. I think they came from another country. So But yeah, man, a lot of people, hundreds are watching though, Tony.
Hundreds, man.
Hundreds are watching, man.
Well,
we gotta get to thousands.
You got to start somewhere, man. You know what I'm saying? Got to start somewhere, man. How are the girls?
Good, man. Today they had their first photo shoot today. They're doing this. I think I told you about. They're doing this agency thing, and coming up, they'll be meeting with agents from, Disney and these different networks. So they had to get their headshots today. So they had their first little thing, and you can check it out. Actually, check it out on Facebook at Marc Clarke.
Oh, is that right? You got him up?
I got him up. So just a shot. Just a shot of the 3. So
pretty soon they'll be taking appointments, and then they'll be booking movies, man.
Well, the interesting thing that was a real conversation was, and I want to get your take on this, Tony. So let's say the kids, one of the kids or 3 of the kids, they land a contract with Disney or one of these networks, right? And I said, this is probably what happens. The confusion that can happen with child stars and their parents. So I'm underemployed at this time, right? So we in theory we've always said, and we will actually live by it. That if they do happen to do it, that's their money. It's not our money. That's their money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I see what happens. So let's say they land something, they're making $500,000, and I'm managing in a sense because I'm not gonna let my kids. I'm not gonna let my kids go without me. Especially if I am able to go.
Right.
But I'm really not making any money. What I'm saying? They're making money.
But I talked to a life coach, Vasavi Kumar, a while back, and we talked a little bit about that.
Gesundheit.
She told me that you're offering a service.
Yeah.
And your service, in your case, would be representing 3 clients. Now, these 3 clients happen to be your daughter. Now, I'm not saying you're entitled to half, but whatever normally an agent gets,
maybe 10%.
Then that's what you should get.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the money goes into a trust. I think by federal law, that's actually the Jackie Cooper law. So we talked about that before, the Jackie Cooper law. But I think that you're entitled. If you're going to be their manager, you're entitled to a fee. You don't get half. No,
right.
You don't get half, but you do get, I think, whatever agents get. So I wouldn't.
Don't Gary
Coleman the kids.
The kids, man.
Nah, don't Coleman
the kids. That was my money, Daddy.
No. You don't want to do that. No need having any problems like that, man.
But I could see though, again, if you don't have your house in order, and a lot of times it seems like the low hands in these different families don't have their houses in order,
right.
And they're like living off the kids. I can see already. It's when kids start to get a certain age, you can already feel a certain thing. But for a child to feel like you took my money and they don't really respect your character, I'm sure that's I think I did extra air quotes for no reason this thing.
Well, that's all right, man. We'll credit you some.
2 here, 1 here, air quotes. So I'll keep you posted, man.
Yeah, because I think that I think it's more important that you guys figure out how you're going to deal with when one of them only gets a part or 2 of them only gets a part.
Yeah, we've had that conversation, but conversations ain't nothing but talk.
Man, that's the thing, man. Is that you got to how do you think Solange felt?
And still feels.
Well, but she's carved out not the niche that Beyonce has, but she's getting by, and I'm sure her sister doesn't have a problem helping her out. But there's a whole dynamic there though that you have to address.
Well, I'm addressing it right now. It's like you have to, like me and Allison. Allison Seymour. I'm Marc Clarke, so it's kind of at this point. It's like, oh my God, Allison is the best, and I'm like, yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing?
But you know,
doing, Marc?
I do 2 guys, 6 daughters.
Me and Tony do a couple shows, and then I have a show on iHeartRadio. Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
but
Yeah.
you know, but you're one.
I was there. Allison was inducted into the Hampton Institute University Hall of Fame in Media.
Well,
I was there,
yeah.
Hall of Famer, and to induct Allison and her husband. Marc, share a few words on your career. Well,
we're out of time.
Yeah, I'm doing an internet show called Living the Life and
Living La Vida Loca.
Thanks, Marc. Ladies and gentlemen, Marc does a show on WHUR one time a year, right? Is that once a week? Yep, once a week.
But you know what, man? You're one of those guys. You're one of those guys who you're very gracious though, because you don't have a jealous bone in your body though.
No. Well, because I think you kind of like. But you're right. Now, it's one thing to be a grown up and be whatever. But you're right. It'll be a challenge for the kids, and it's at this point they've all kind of thank God they've all kind of had their niche and they've excelled in their niche. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah.
But it is hard for a kid. I mean, because my middle child was saying that after she got the part as Dorothy in the Wiz, a couple of her friends, man, they fell off for a couple years, man. And I was telling her that I understand. On one hand, you're disappointed, but I understand because it's probably around fourth grade. That's probably the first thing they lost ever. You know what I mean? You have a thing, and like I was thinking, Tony. My daughter was Dorothy. Now, what if she got the part? Because there was a part for Toto, the dog. Now, if this predominantly white school, if my daughter came home and they're like, "Hey, Skylar got the part as Toto," well, we've been like, no. Or what I mean? It's interesting. It's just, I mean,
as long as she did come home with the part as one of the flying monkeys.
It's what you are, the flying monkey. and we're doing it this year. There's only one monkey. You're going to represent all the monkeys.
See, then you're gonna have to go to the mattresses, man. You're gonna have to. It's gonna be war, man. It's gonna be a gang war, man. That's what it's gonna be, man. So, but it's gonna turn out. It's just great. I'm excited for them, man. I think because I think they're great. I've seen them on TV with Allison. They're naturals, man.
Yeah, so, and then that is like a huge advantage. They've been in front of the camera their whole lives.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So I saw the story, man. A man in Mexico padlocked his girlfriend's jeans so that she wouldn't cheat on him. And this seems like in Mexico, in that area in Veracruz, that's a fairly common thing that happens. She was scared to cut them off, and she actually refused to press charges.
Yeah.
You padlock your girl's jeans so she won't cheat on you?
This is in Mexico?
Yeah.
You got Mexico jeans and a padlock? My, oh my.
Careful now. Careful.
What's going on? She ended up getting a rust infection.
What do you take for that? What do you take for that?
WD-40. Spray or suppository.
Or the medicated pads. I don't. I mean, if you're her father. I mean, you got to think, where did I fail her? Where did I fail her self-esteem? Where did I fail something like that? I mean, am I thinking too much here?
No, man, that's a lot going on, man. It's just, I mean, padlock. Where do you get those? What are they saying? Those are theirs?
I don't know, but that's just
big padlocks.
Big padlocks. Big padlocks. Okay, I got you. I mean, if she refused to press charges, so obviously she's going back to him.
Yeah. Well, she never left.
She couldn't leave.
That's right. She's stuck.
Man, I just, I don't know what I would do if my daughter did something like that. I don't know how. What could I say to her to get through to her?
You have to. I know what you do, man. You'd be cutting them padlocks off.
Well, yeah.
You wouldn't have it. Tony wouldn't have it.
No, I would not have it, man. Then you have LaCrystal King-Woolfork, who's 28 years old, and she's facing attempted murder charges because she stabbed her boyfriend in the eye because he wouldn't have sex with her at 4 a.m.
Oh, so is she high?
She said she and another woman were performing sex acts on each other, and they asked him to join, and he refused. Now, she denies stabbing him, but she did admit that she hit him with a metal candle holder. But she's looking at attempted murder charges. Now, I'm thinking, and maybe this is just, I don't know. I was thinking, how unattractive was that girl-on-girl action for him to say, nah, I'm good.
I'm good.
unattractive was that action, man? For him to go, no, I'm good.
I think it was that room that was humming. He realized in a split second, maybe we should have hit the shower first.
We had been at work all day, and then we went out, so you know.
It smelled like feet and booty up in there. I'm good.
I mean, to me, well, at this point, don't wake me up at 4 a.m. for nothing. Unless the house is on fire, then tell me what part of the house it is.
Well, something was on fire, but it wasn't the house.
No, but man, I mean, that's what I thought about though. It's like, I mean, that must have been such a turn off to see that he was like, come on in, the water's warm. Nah, I'm good.
And then crazy, and this crazy chick too. I mean, come on, just volatile.
So now he don't have an eye now.
Man,
that's horrible. That's just, I mean,
you know, you've always been able to track these stories down your whole career, Tony.
But you know, to meet with this young lady who did La Crystal, which is Spanish for the crystal. Obviously, she hasn't had much adult guidance in her life.
No.
You know, now I say that, man, people say to me sometimes, well, you think that everybody who ever made a mistake in their life was because they didn't have their mama or their dad or they didn't have good parenting. Some people are just bad. And this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not fair to me to say that La Crystal didn't have a father in her life or something like that, because maybe she did. She's just evil.
Maybe the name set her off. La Crystal.
La Crystal.
Just, you know, a lifetime of getting teased or something.
I once knew a woman who was in a very spiritual family and all that, and she caught her boyfriend cheating on her, and she saw a kid. She nailed the kitten to the wall of the house.
Oh my God! Now, are you saying the kitten or the kitten? Are you saying a cat?
I'm saying the four-legged feline.
Oh, okay. Wow. I know you're from a rough neighborhood, so I had to make sure you cleared that up.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
wow, you know. I tell you, in a rough neighborhood.
You should see when we put this video up. You got to look at your expression on your face when I tell you this, because you're gonna go.
Wow. Man, nailed it to the wall.
Nailed it to the wall, man.
There's a song about that years ago.
There was a song by that. Who was that? Stacey Lattisaw? Who's that?
Wow, it was Stacey. It was Reverend Stacey Lattisaw.
Yeah, nailed it to the wall.
Wow.
You know, so. Lee Thompson Young was a young man who was on the famous Jet Jackson. He also played Rizzoli's sidekick on Rizzoli and Isles. That's on TNT. And a couple months ago, he killed himself. And we find out this week that he actually was bipolar and suffered from depression. Now, you probably don't think about it nearly as often as I do, because you don't suffer from depression, and I do. I have clinical depression. So I think about it, and I look for signs in my kids all the time. And you know, for people of color, mental illness is like taboo. You know, they just don't want to face it. You know, I actually got an email from someone who's had thoughts of suicide, and their medication wasn't working, and I urged them. In fact, I gave them our old. Marc and I used to share a therapist. We didn't go together, but we had the same therapist, and so I gave her his number, and she went and saw him, and it's all good now.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, you know, I look for signs with my kids all the time, because I know what it's like to be in that mud, to be in that darkness. You know, it's a horrible thing. And a lot of people think that when you have depression that you're crazy. And when you hate everything in the world, it's just your attitude. Well, a lot of times it's not. It's like if your breath is bad all the time, sometimes that's a sign of a health issue. And not necessarily that your mouth is funky. It could be a whole nother thing.
And in fact, like you said, almost 100% of the case, 100% of the time, it's a health issue.
Yeah.
So I guess it's almost the same thing when you think about it with mental illness and people being unhappy and people having suicidal thoughts. You know, it's probably 100% of the time a mental illness is just not checked. And even the self-medication of the drug addict. You know, when you think about it, like, I think in your right mind, you don't want to be in a state where you don't know what's going on, or you are in total, you know, lack of control. Right. But I think people do self-medicate, like people who love to get high, you know, that feeling, or they say, I want to escape. they're really just self-medicating, so they don't have to face reality
Well,
because
they're masking it.
they're
Is what they're
masking it.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whether it's alcohol or drugs,
yeah,
that's exactly
yeah.
what they're doing.
We
I
have,
happen to have cousins who that was their thing, their miserable life. They just drank it away, but when they woke up, it was still there.
yeah. Well, that's the part I think for me that always kept me away from stuff was that, yeah. I mean, but again, I think that's someone if you have a healthy perspective.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a healthy perspective, or you're always in the state of depression that it's not diagnosed, I think you're probably always trying to escape something,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right, man. We have a friend whose son, 21, strapping, brilliant, just this whole life ahead of him, and went away to college and lost it. He lost it. He's by diagnosis bipolar, schizophrenic, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, his behavior just, and again, you just go, wow, that was the same. No one had any ideas. But like you said, then you look back and you start seeing behavior that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't consistent. That's why I think, as parents and as husbands and wives and friends, you really do have to, if anybody does any kind of crazy behavior,
Yeah.
or just behavior that's not normal, I think you do have to kind of like file it away and make sure, like you said, Tony, you're always looking for signs. I
Mm-hmm.
think as parents, it's always smart to do that because, I mean, our kid, you know your kids and you know their personalities, and there are things sometimes where you wouldn't be shocked, because
Mm-hmm.
you see a certain behavior. I
Sure.
think it's important that we do that, especially as parents, because we're helping to protect them.
Yeah, we're their guardians until they're able to take care of themselves. And like I said, I don't know if I would even be paying attention to those signs if I didn't have depression.
Hmm.
Because it's something that I don't think about because I don't have that problem. It's like I don't have cancer, so I don't look for cancer symptoms in my kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to me, it's one of those things. But because I do have depression and I do have dark days, and there are days that I do have suicidal thoughts. I go through all this. It's a process, and 2 or 3 times a year, I have really, really, really dark days where I just stay in bed because it's just one of those things.
Hmm.
But I also realize, having gone through this for so long and understanding what it is, maybe in the last 20 years, that it's a process that will go away and it'll come back, but it'll be gone more times than it'll be here.
Is it
And
is
so,
it is it less frightening? And you kind of, like you said, you've kind of get to the point now where you can feel
yeah,
it coming on,
yeah,
and you're
yeah, it's
not.
yeah, it's less frightening
Yeah,
because I know what to expect,
right.
and I know that I'm going to be down for a while and stuff. And I've tried because I don't like taking medication, and I've tried coming off my meds 3 times in 20 years, and it's been a disaster every time.
Hmm. Have,
So
have you found the right battery of medicine at this point? Do you think you got something where you're happy
yeah,
with?
yeah, I take a combination of Prozac and Wellbutrin,
Hmm.
and when you take Wellbutrin, there is a 2% chance that one of the big side effects is a loss of libido.
Hmm.
And so my luck, I'm in the 2%, right?
Welcome, welcome.
We should get jackets made, man. Matching, and but so I take the Prozac to help offset that.
Hmm.
Is what I do, and it works for me. But I've told people before, and I've had people come to me about medication and stuff like that, and I tell them there are lots of different combinations of different medicines to address depression. You just got to find the right one. You remember when you and I worked together, and I had just got on some medication, and you had to send me home. That was the day the OJ verdict came down, and you sent me home because I just was just in a daze,
Hmm.
and you told me to go home because I just so I'm in a daze, and you put me in a machine to drive
Grab
myself
on
home.
home. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't the best advice I gave.
but I wasn't able to function on the radio that day.
Hmm.
And it's one of those things that you have to go through. I happen to have a wife who, admittedly, at the beginning was understanding, but she didn't really understand it.
Hmm.
And then over the course of time, she came to understand it, and she knows how important it is for me to have my medication. So
And it has
she's a
to be
big
an individual, because I know. Remember, we had one of our guests' son. I think Wellbutrin didn't work for him.
right,
In
right,
fact, it gave
right,
him suicidal thoughts. I think.
right,
I
right.
think it actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different thing because Xanax may work for somebody, Xanax may not work for somebody else, right? Prozac may
Yep.
work for someone, you know. And like the saying goes, Prozac, sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't, right? but you have to stay with it. And this is what I tell people. You have to stay on your medication. And what helps now, and for me even more the last few years, is understanding faith.
Wow. Now if somebody died and came back, they'd be like, who the hell is that? Even right now, people on the other side are like, is that Tony Scott? Excuse me, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm watching Arsenio Hall, but is that Tony Scott?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, man. So, I mean, it's one of those things, man,
Never
so
that.
We told you last week that if you have a daughter and you want some advice from two guys who have 3 daughters each, you can email us advice@twodadssixdaughters.com. And we got a letter from someone. It says LBC. I assume that's Long Beach, California. I don't know, because I mean, we're white, baby. So let me read you this one. It says, guys, I have a 20-year-old daughter that I thought I raised right. I also have 2 younger daughters that are 17 and 13. My 20-year-old daughter has decided she wants to make a living in the adult world. She says the money is good, she works when she wants to, and adult enough to make that choice. I told her she has to move out of my house and cannot have contact with her sisters. My mother thinks that I did the right thing. My grandmother thinks I did not do the right thing. My younger daughters don't know what's going on, but they know something is going on. What should I do?
How old is she? 20?
20.
Well, am I going first? Or you want to go first?
You go first, man. It's fine.
I think I think it's interesting. Now that I was just talking to my in-laws about this the other day. Having a household, like I came up with a single mom who was struggling. And in that mode, I think it's easier to say, get the hell out of my house. Basically because you're struggling. Everybody has to contribute. You know what I mean? It's something that's, now having a household where, it's not a struggle, where you have a house, you pay for it. You know what I mean? It's your house. I don't know. I think, I understand how he could kick his daughter out for that.
Now, I don't know if it's a he or a she.
Or he or she.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I'm in a different place now. I don't think I would kick my kid out for that. I would talk. I would keep her close, and we'd have conversations. I'd express that, I think not only this is a very dangerous, a very quick fix that could have long-lasting repercussions that can ruin your life, but I think I would not kick my daughter out. I think I would, because I think you really are throwing her to the wolves when you just kick her out, as opposed to, having conversations and because again, just recently the woman found out her and a couple others were infected. And they always talk about how safe the adult industry is,
right?
But another air quotes, she got infected with AIDS. Her boyfriend. She probably infected her boyfriend. She didn't know she had it, but it was like, I think 4 people, and they shut down the adult industry in some parts of California because of that. I would point things out. I think having them around, you can point things out like that, and you kind of have conversations. And I think it's almost like trying to, work an angle as opposed to just get out of my house. That's just my take. What do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, I think that your 2 younger daughters, they know exactly what's going on.
Right.
Okay. You're underestimating your 17 and your 13-year-old. They know what's going on. Second of all, I think your grandmother is probably right that you did make a mistake, because with experience comes being able to see the bigger picture and not the immediacy of what's in front of you. And I think I think she made a mistake. I understand why she did what she did. 1, because she doesn't want her 2 younger daughters around that. 2, she's probably humiliated and embarrassed because it's going to get out, and 3, she that's something that's the last thing we want our daughters to do, right? It's one of those things. So
worst case.
Yeah, I think, and I think that in that instance, you need your 20-year-old daughter probably needs your counsel now more than ever. Yeah. She doesn't need you to beat her over the head with the story that Marc told us about what happened with the adult star who infected her boyfriend and 2 others. and shut down the adult film industry. You can tell her about it. You don't need to tell her about it every day. She knows about it already.
Right.
She's got that already. But you also need to tell her that world, there's a lot of drugs in that world. There's a lot of violence against women in that world. You're gonna do this scene, and if you don't, I'm gonna beat you to all to be damned. You know, it's like it's one of those things where you have to understand exactly what you're getting into. Clearly, the 20-year-old doesn't understand what she's getting into. She thinks she does, and she thinks she's old enough to make that decision, which biologically she may be. Mentally, she probably is not. That's a tough road, because now, see, when we were growing up, you would run across something X-rated, a magazine or a tape or something every once in a while, but now it's on the internet, it's on Twitter, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And once it's out there forever. Yeah. So you may decide when you're 30 that, when you may decide at 25 you had enough of it. 30 you want to run for public office because you understood the bigger picture and you want to give back. Well, you're not going to be able to give back.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Yeah.
I mean, because we are forgiving people, but we tend not to forgive mistakes like that.
Yeah.
Because you should have known better.
I think the overwhelming theme I think I try to push, and this is another example of, like you said, is it's your life. Mm-hmm. And yes, you can make these decisions. You have to live with your decisions. And I'm trying to impart to you all this information where you make the best decision for you. And this decision, while I understand you maybe think it's exciting and, it's intriguing, it reminds me of, in Baltimore, a lot of these kids who are in the drug game, mm-hmm. Because you get caught up in the drug game. And Tony, a lot of these kids, they were just doing it for back when jerseys were hot. So you are putting you're putting your life in a position where you can go to jail just for a jersey.
Or die.
You could work or die. You could work at McDonald's and get a jersey. You know what I mean? A $300 jersey is like, these guys are riding bikes. You're 20-something years old. You're riding a bike and you get a jersey which is worth $300. For that. I mean, and so I think it's the same thing with the industry. Unless you are really like at the top of the industry, and if you're at the top of the industry, you're, the thing I never realized. I had a conversation with a hoe, and
welcome to Hoe Talk.
Hoe Talk. You don't really realize, dude. They are putting in work. They are taking. They're like a running back in the NFL. They're hitting the line. They're hitting the line.
They're getting pounded.
They're getting pounded. I mean, and I never thought about that before. I never thought about. I'm talking. It's not like a couple guys. It's like 30, 40 guys mm-hmm. a day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And then so it's not glamorous. It's not the money you think it is. But I wouldn't. I think again, for me to kick and having daughters.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard for me to kick my daughter out of my house. I mean. Yeah,
me too. It would be hard to do, and I think the last thing you need to do is tell her. I mean, you need to go back and say, okay, you don't have to leave, but maybe you need to set up some ground rules.
Oh, there's definitely some ground rules.
Like you can't dress for work at the house and then leave. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? You can't. You got to wear, because your sister's around. You got to respect the house.
Yeah,
there's got to be some rules. You know what I'm saying?
You have to treat it like a regular job. It is what it is. You mm-hmm. decided to shame the family, so wear this veil over your face.
Yeah.
And I think you just, but yeah. I mean, again, you think it's glamorous. It's not really glamorous.
No.
And we know that, but we're 50 years old. They think it's hot, 20.
It's hot.
All these videos and stuff, everybody's doing all this stuff. They think it's all glamorous.
Yeah.
What's glamorous is like having a real career, mm-hmm. where you fly around the world and at the finest hotels and make a nice salary and have respect and character and people respect you. That's hot.
That's hot.
Shaking your ass. Come on, man. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that. Yeah. Just for change, spare change on the weekend.
Brother need to try the new fries at Burger King. I need some change.
Allison was saying, we were trying to talk about ways that we can raise some money. It's got a couple things we need to do. I'm like, okay, honey, I'm going to have to go do what I do. She was like, yes, nobody would pay you for that.
Oh, come on. Come on.
I'm like, you're right.
Ye of little faith, Allison. Come on.
So if there are some cougars out there, ready to get off some of that money. I mean, I guess dinosaurs. I guess I'm past the cougar stage. You're a dinosaur. I mean, holla.
Holla at your boy.
Mama needs a new kitchen.
Man, well, we at the 30-minute mark already, man. So we'll leave it right here. Again, if you have a daughter and you want some, we're not professionals. We're just two guys who have 3 daughters each. And if you just want some advice, you can send it to advice@twodad6daughters.com. Marc has an iHeartRadio channel and a Facebook page.
Yes.
And he has an app that you can get from the App Store, and the links will be in the show notes down below, where you can get the app for Windows, Android, or iOS. So you can do that.
Don't forget BlackBerry.
BlackBerry, yes.
By the way, who's laying off, I think, 3,000 workers this week.
Man,
it's tight, man.
It's hard out there for a pimp, man.
And it's tight.
You know what I'm saying? So, but we appreciate you watching. You can leave a comment down below. If you give it a thumbs up, that helps a lot. If you subscribe, that makes us leaders in the world.
That's right.
You know, so but help us out, help a brother out if you can.
That Talkin360 is blowing up, son.
Yeah. I have a website called Talkin360 where I interview book authors, and actually in the middle of doing a series with an author and a publisher called Keys to Writing and Publishing, where she'll tell you things if you want to write your first book, some things you may need to know that might help the process along a little better. You can see all that on Talkin360.com. So
awesome.
Thanks again for watching. Marc, see you next week, man.
Hasta luego, my brother.